Okay, so get this. Today, we're diving into the world of casual dress.
Casual dress.
Yeah, but hold on. It's not about, like, picking the perfect pair of jeans or anything. We're going way deeper.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking about how something as simple as what we wear might be connected to huge cultural shifts.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Right. And could maybe even some not so great societal trends, too.
Oh, wow. Okay, you've got my attention.
It's all thanks to something futurist Michael Chung calls the casual living Ubertrend.
The casual living Ubertrend.
Yeah, and honestly, get ready for some aha moments
Yep.
because we're digging into excerpts from his work today.
I'm ready. Lay it on me.
Okay, so think about it. The Hawaiian shirt,
Classic.
totally an icon.
Right.
But did you ever imagine it going from, like, beaches and vacations to offices and boardrooms?
Now that you mention it, it is kind of a strange trajectory.
It all started somewhere, though, and Chong takes us right back to the 1940s with surfing legend Duke Kahanamoku. Picture this. He strolls into the Royal Hawaiian Hotel, super casually suggests the staff wear Aloha shirts on Fridays, and bam, history in the making.
I love that story. It's amazing how these small things can spark such big changes.
Totally. And you can't forget the backdrop of all of this. Hawaii's tourism industry was booming during that time.
Yeah, people were captivated by that whole laid-back island lifestyle.
Exactly. And naturally, they brought that vibe back home with them. Between 1960 and 1970 alone, the number of visitors to Hawaii jumped from 296,000 to a massive 1.7 million.
Wow, that's huge.
So that's where Aloha Friday, which later morphed into Casual Friday, really found its footing right.
Makes sense.
But here's where it gets even more interesting. By the 1980s, it wasn't just about Hawaiian shirts anymore.
Yeah.
Business casual explodes onto the scene, and guess who's leading the charge?
Let me guess. Silicon Valley.
Bingo. We're talking Gap, Levi's, Apple, Intel, the giants of the tech world. It was like a whole new world of workplace attire.
Yeah, out with the stuffy suits, in with the khakis and polos.
Exactly. Bing Gordon, the co-founder of Electronic Arts, sums it up perfectly. If you don't have anything to say, wear a suit.
I love that quote. So true.
Right. But it's not just about Silicon Valley setting a trend. These khaki pants and button-down shirts, they actually have a history that goes way beyond tech campuses.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. What's the story there?
Well, if you dig a little deeper, you find out those khaki pants were the go-to for British soldiers stationed in India. Super durable, perfect for the climate.
Practical.
Exactly. And that button-down shirt came straight from the polo fields of England. It was designed to keep those collars from flapping in the wind.
Makes sense. I never thought about that.
So yeah, these garments were all about practicality and function, which, align perfectly with Silicon Valley's emphasis on, well, practicality and function over formality.
It's funny how these things come full circle, right?
It is. And it wasn't just a men's fashion revolution either. It's fascinating to see how women's office wear also started to shift away from those traditional, often quite restrictive suits and towards clothing that was simpler, more comfortable.
Totally. It was a long time coming.
This whole move towards casual attire, both for men and women, really reflects this wider cultural shift we were talking about. This move towards a more relaxed and less hierarchical workplace.
And then it's like someone opened the floodgates. We go from Aloha Fridays to a world where you can't walk down the street without seeing yoga pants and sneakers.
Athleisure everywhere.
Right. It's like it became the new uniform, not just for the gym, but for, like, everyday life. And that's where Chon's concept of the casual living Uber trend really comes into focus. He's talking about this larger pattern of casualization that extends beyond just clothing, right?
Exactly. He argues that this trend toward casualization is actually a defining characteristic of our time. First, it was blue jeans that became this global phenomenon.
I'm not sure everyone loves jeans.
Right. Then it was t-shirts and sneakers. And now it's athleisure. We're seeing the rise of this global uniform, as he calls it, which is really interesting when you think about it.
I know, right?
On the one hand, it points to this global desire for comfort and practicality. But on the other hand, it makes you wonder about the impact of all this on individual and cultural expression.
So we've got this global trend toward casualization, this idea of a global uniform even.
It's pretty wild when you think about it.
It seems like on the surface, it's all about, like, comfort and practicality, right? Mm-hmm. But here's where Chung's analysis takes a bit of a turn.
Oh.
Yeah, he suggests that maybe, just maybe, we've taken this whole casual thing a little too far.
Interesting. How so?
Well, he argues there's this kind of flip side to all this casualization, a darker side that we need to pay attention to.
Okay, I'm listening.
He's talking about a decline in civility, this sense that those unwritten rules that used to guide our behavior, well, they seem to be fading away.
Like, what kinds of unwritten rules are we talking about?
Okay, so picture this. You're at a Broadway show.
Okay, I'm there.
And suddenly, someone's phone goes off. Or people are talking during the performance, not even trying to be quiet about it.
Ugh, the worst.
Or think about fan violence at sporting events.
It feels like that's been getting worse, too.
And how political discourse has become so much more aggressive, less tolerant.
Definitely.
So it's this general sense that common courtesy, basic respect, it's all kind of on the decline.
Yeah, you can definitely see that.
And it's easy to brush those things aside, right?
Mm-hmm.
To think, oh, that's just how people are now. But Chong connects this casualization of behavior to some pretty serious consequences.
Like what?
He even goes as far as to link it to the rise of what he calls the suicide killer, which is a chilling thought, to say the least.
Yeah, that's pretty intense.
Right. And it's a tough topic to talk about. But Chong, he doesn't shy away from it. He argues that this trend toward casualization, particularly when it comes to violence, is creating a climate where these types of tragedies are becoming increasingly common.
So it's not just about, like, school shootings or mass shootings.
Exactly. He's talking about any act of violence where the perpetrator also takes their own life.
I see. It's like this broader pattern he's identifying.
And he points to the increasing availability of guns as a contributing factor, too.
That makes sense.
In fact, he cites a startling statistic. Nearly 40,000 people in the United States died from gun violence in 2017 alone.
Wow.
That's the highest number in 50 years.
That's incredibly sobering.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the scale of it all, right?
Yeah.
Like, what can we even do? But I think what Chung is getting at is that these trends, they are connected to our choices.
To the ways in which we've embraced this casual living Uber trend.
Exactly. And he argues that just recognizing those connections, that's a crucial first step in addressing these more troubling aspects of casualization.
Okay, so it's not just about, like, ditching our yoga pants and bringing back formal dinners.
Right, exactly. It's about being mindful of the choices we're making, how those choices might be contributing to this larger cultural shift.
I see what you mean. It's about being more aware of the bigger picture.
Exactly. And this isn't just a story about what we wear or how we act in public either. Chong argues that this casual living Uber trend, it's seeped into the very fabric of our online interactions as well.
Online? Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
And in some ways, that's where things get really interesting and a little disturbing. It's like the internet, especially social media, took this whole casual thing and just put it on fast forward.
Fast forward.
Yeah, like suddenly there's this anonymity, right?
Yeah.
And it feels like all those social norms we were just talking about, they just evaporate.
It's true. It's like the Wild West out there sometimes.
Right. Churchong even goes as far as comparing some online spaces to, get this, the Roman Colosseum.
Whoa, the Colosseum.
Yeah. These digital arenas where cruelty and negativity are like totally normalized, even celebrated.
Yikes. Okay, I kind of see where he's going with that. What makes him draw that parallel?
Well, he quotes this 2007 USA Today article that I think really gets at what he's talking about. So even back then, this was already a thing. The article, it talked about the ubiquity of nasty comments, sometimes even death threats online.
And that was before social media really took off.
Exactly. Can you imagine how much more prevalent and amplified those kinds of comments are now?
It's a little scary to think about, honestly.
It is. And it's easy to dismiss it, you know, to be like, oh, it's just the internet. People don't really mean it.
Yeah, you hear that a lot.
But then you hear stories like the one Churchong shares about Megan Meyer, and it just hits different.
Megan Meyer, that's a tragic story.
It really is. So, for those who might not know, Megan was 13 years old. She was already struggling with depression, and she ends up taking her own life after being targeted by cyberbullies. The really tragic part. The boy she thought she was connecting with online, the one who was being so cruel, turned out to be a fake profile.
A fake profile?
Created by an adult neighbor, no less.
Oh my gosh. That's just unbelievable.
It's heartbreaking. And I think it's a stark reminder that words have power, whether they're spoken face-to-face or, typed into a screen.
Totally.
And this anonymity of the online world, it often makes people, especially young people, so incredibly vulnerable.
I can see that.
And that's kind of what Chong is getting at, right?
Yeah.
That this casualization we're seeing in our online interactions, this tendency towards negativity and cruelty, It's not harmless.
It has real-world consequences.
Exactly. So where do we go from here?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, like we're just along for the ride with this whole casualization thing.
Yeah, you can feel a little powerless.
But is there a way to, like, reclaim some of that civility, that empathy that seems to be slipping away?
I think so. Chong definitely thinks so. He doesn't pretend to have all the answers, but he offers some guidance.
Okay, I'm listening.
Awareness is crucial, like just recognizing these trends,
Don't bury our heads in the sand.
Right, and understanding those forces that are driving them, then it comes down to conscious effort, to actually making different choices.
Choices about
how we show up in the world, both online and offline. Choosing kindness even when it's hard, choosing respect even when we disagree, choosing empathy even when we feel anonymous.
It's a call to action, then.
It is.
To be more mindful, more deliberate, more intentional about how our choices, even seemingly small ones, might be feeding into this larger trend.
Yeah, I like that, because we do have a choice.
We do. So as we wrap up today's deep dive, we've covered a lot. We've gone from Hawaiian shirts to online anonymity. And I think if there's one big takeaway here, it's that the clothes we wear, the way we behave, the words we type it, all tells a story.
It's all connected.
The question is, what story do we want to tell? Food for thought as we navigate this increasingly casual world.